Hello, Church House. This is me, Daniel Hornsby, again. I was just coming back in to have another message with you tonight and to share good news and tell you that the more you sow, the more they will grow. You know, one plants a seed and one waters a seed, and God brings forth all the increase, you know. And that's the reason we got to be like constantly sowing, because the more you sow, the more they're going to grow. And the harvest is plenty, but the sowers are few. And that's the reason we're here, you know, and that's the reason I like telling everybody everywhere I go. That's the reason I love street preaching, because, you know, faith comes by hearing the word. And, like, for example, it's like the other day, I've been talking to a dude for about a year now. He come back into my work, and he was just filled with joy. You could just see the total excitement on his face, and he's like, I totally understand what you're saying now, bro. I see what you're saying. And I'm like, because I've been telling him all along, I'm like, man, wait till you get total revelation. There's nothing like being in the presence of the Lord. You know, it's by far better than money, gold, or anything else the world has to offer. You know, I've never in my life experienced nothing so wonderful as just being in God's presence. And it's just like the devil tries to keep us hidden from that so that we don't know. And that's the reason we're here, to share the good news. That's what Christians are. We're doing the Great Commission. We're sharing the good news and telling them about how we're getting through the way the King of Jews paid our dues. And it's like, for an example, and you don't know who you'll affect when you're out sowing seeds either. It's like, for example, I met a man at the store and I was talking to him about Jesus, building up his faith. And next thing you know, and I seen him about 2 months later, and we got lit in the Spirit the first time. Then the second time I seen him again, building up his faith again, and we got lit in the Spirit. And I'm like, wow, you know, we was just having a good old time, laughing and joy. And then I seen him a third time, and he come into my store, and he was like, man, he's like, you all have changed my life, talking about me and my girlfriend. He's like, y'all have changed my life forever. And I was like, I told you, if you seek the kingdom first, God will add everything unto you else afterwards. And he stuck his hands up in the air, and he said, Lord, pour it all on me. He said, I want everything you got, because he was just so full of joy. And you know, it changes people's lives forever when they experience this. And next thing you know, he looked at me, and he went through the line, and I was just building up his faith again. And I said, next thing you know, I got his girlfriend who ended up working with me, and she said, oh, you know my man Bradley. And she called him her atheist. And I'm like, atheist? I said, he ain't no atheist. I said, he's got strong faith. And she said, no, he's an atheist. And I was like, no, he's not neither. And next thing you know, right after I said that, he walked through the door. And as soon as he walked through the door, and he was like, oh yeah, he was lit in the Spirit too. And I was lit in the Spirit. And we was both just sitting there enjoying rhyming in the Spirit. I was rhyming in the Spirit, and he was enjoying the presence of the Lord, and I was enjoying the presence of the Lord. And she just looked at me. She's like, I can't believe it. She said, I can't believe he got saved. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And that's just because of just planting seeds, you know. And that's why we're here, plant seeds everywhere you go and share the good news and tell them what Jesus did for us.